Years ago, I trained in ballet and I ended up having to leave it behind because I pushed myself to the point of exhaustion. And this is so common, in ballet and gymnastics and these like elite level things, or if you're doing anything at a really high level where you are your own worst critic, and then you're in an environment that's very critical as well. And I look at even now, even with training and things that might be just as archaic as it was then, at least now there are these videos on YouTube where people speak about things, and then there's all these you can access so much information nowadays, all these things about coaching, and you can access the information and the knowledge of elite performers who pass on all their wisdom so that you can really up your game in a way that my generation didn't have access to that. So it was very much like you just had the people in front of you, you just had the teachers that were there in front of you, you didn't have anyone else. And looking back now, I understand why I ended up being the way I was. At the time, immediately sort of afterwards, I felt very let down, and very angry and cross, and my whole life had ended. But when I was in it, I wasn't good enough. I really wasn't that good at all. My life path was never, for that life really. But I had this immense desire inside of me. Now, if I'd had elite coaching and nurturing and all those sorts of things, then I would have done a lot better than I actually did. And it's interesting because I never had any strength. And so it was done on pure determination, effort, and just pushing myself. But if I'd had the right training, so the right people coming along saying, oh, these are how you strengthen these muscles, rather than that continual just flogging myself like a dead horse, you're not getting it right, so just keep practicing the same thing over and over and over and over, which did bring some improvement in my practice. Of course it does, that's how you improve. However, if you then go off and you do specific strengthening exercises, I was always stretching but didn't know how to strengthen. And if I'd had that and more insight into the techniques, listening to someone on YouTube in the last few days talking about how to engage the turnout muscles by thinking about really planting the little toe into the floor, and really it's the idea of the outside muscles of the leg, that just clicked for me. So now when I was trying to practice it, I was like, oh yeah, that feels so much better. But I always never really had that understanding and I was just using the wrong muscles effectively and trying to force it, and it wasn't happening. So yeah, but I'm just feeling really I can see that my mood's really negative, and I'm very much going into that mindset of I'm not achieving what I should be, I'm not doing what I should be, I'm not good at anything, that very negative spiraling type mindset. But I'm aware of it now, so I'm thinking, right, what do I need to do to get myself out of this? What do I need to be saying to myself? So whereas before I would just listen to that voice and then I would just become more and more depressed, and now I'm realizing, okay, that's that, but I do have the power to change that voice. And it's things like gratitude, just thinking of all the things and being able to switch flip the switch inside of your head to help you to come out of the negative mindset. And then about well, what do you want to, how do you want to think, how do you want to be? And then kind of forcing yourself to talk to yourself in that way until it becomes more natural and you've then switched back into a better mindset. So I just wanted to record that because I thought that was really useful.